Okay, welcome back to the Tefilah Shiur. We've not been here for a while, Chagim and various other things. Last time out, we finished up Unatan Tokef. Yom Kippur has been and gone. We didn't have a chance to do Hoshanot or any of those things. Next year maybe. And it's not yet time to do Maoz Tzor, although we will do Maoz Tzor a few weeks before. We've done it before, but you won't have remembered it, Barbara.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
something relevant for Maoz Tzor.
Okay, well, we're not doing Maoz Tzor tonight. We're going to start, at least, Lecha Dodi. I don't think that we're going to finish Lecha Dodi. Frank is already amused by that even suggestion that we should be going to finish it. Yeah. So Lecha Dodi it is for the next week or several, however long it takes us. So Lecha Dodi, we all know it. We all know it. When was it written? You know that's my favorite question. Historical context. Right. I'm going to ask you, Goldie. When was Lecha Dodi written? Well, you could look on the sheet if you want to cheat. Huh? It says 1540. Well, it was in the 1500s. Why does it say 1540? Okay, all right, maybe 1540. I'm not sure the exact year, but it's certainly in the 1500s.
After the Spanish Inquisition.
Correct, after the Spanish Inquisition.
Last night I told you about the Spanish music.
Right, so the Spanish Inquisition actually is relevant to this discussion because where was it written?
Spain?
No.
Portugal?
No. Sfat. It was written in Sfat. Now, what's that got to do with the Spanish Inquisition, Goldie?
I don't know. Is that where they went?
Yes, many of the Kabbalists who ended up in Sfat originated in Spain and Portugal.
So interesting.
Okay, so the Spanish Inquisition was going on, and the expulsion from Spain was in which year?
1492.
Very good.
That I know.
And then often where did they go from Spain? Portugal. Didn't last long there, did they? They didn't last long in Portugal. When did they did go, but most of them went initially to Portugal, but they didn't last long there. When was the expulsion from Portugal?
1492.
1492 was no, not even that. 1496. Wow. 4 years later, they were out of Portugal. So that's why I say they didn't last very long there. And then they dispersed all over the place. But a group of very spiritual rabbis, Kabbalists, found themselves in Sfat. Wow. And that, one sec, and that is where Sfat began, if you like, in terms of modern day, 500 years ago, but modern-ish day Kabbalistic things. One of these Kabbalists who started off in Spain and ended up in Sfat was somebody who wrote a very famous book.
Yeah, it's not the Rambam.
No. Rav Shlomo Alkabetz wrote Lecha Dodi. Coming to him. Come on, Frank. Shulchan Aruch. Okay, it was written by Rabbi Yosef Karo. Okay, Rabbi Yosef Karo. And of course, what you're thinking of, Frank, is the Arizal.
Right,
We've been to the Arizal shul. We've all been to the Arizal. There are two Arizal shuls. The Arizal Ashkenazi shul and Arizal Sephardi shul. Let me just break off for a second. I can see that Johnny Halpin's here. Are you not in Cyprus at a wedding, Johnny?
I should be. I've got pneumonia.
Can't hear the wedding, but he's not on mute. Anyway, okay. Anyway, Mazel Tov on the wedding, Johnny. There you are. Oh, no, you're not yet in Cyprus.
No, I'm saying I can't go. I can't fly. I can't fly.
Oh, you can't fly. What a shame. Is that because you're not been well?
Yeah.
We wish you a refuah shleima.
Thanks.
Okay. So, the Arizal. The Arizal. By the way, the Arizal is the basis of the Chabad Nusach that we were talking about before the Shiur started. They daven Nusach Ari, same Ari, the Ari Zal Zichrono Livracha. Okay, so all of these Kabbalists, these spiritual, mystical people, they gathered in Sfat. And they created almost like a spiritual revolution. And Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote the Shulchan Aruch there. The Ari, what's the Ari's real name?
Luria.
Very good. Rav Yitzchak Luria. He wrote the Tanya.
No, he didn't write.
Did he not write the Tanya? Who wrote Tanya then?
The first Rebbe of
Oh, really? Okay, well, shows you what I know. Okay.
For Yetzirah.
All right. Well, anyway, he was
Pay
one of
for
them lot.
Yetzirah.
And of course, out the
Actually, no, I think he didn't write. He had a student called Chaim Vital, and Chaim Vital, which was also the reason he died young, according to the tradition. He used to teach the Chaim Vital what he was taught, and Chaim Vital wrote what they taught afterwards, but he didn't actually write anything.
Okay, that's interesting. He's not the only one either, by the way. Rav Kook, a lot of Rav Kook's writings were collected afterwards. A lot of his thoughts. Okay, but the main person I wanted to talk about tonight was also part of that group of Kabbalistic rabbis who turned up in Sfat in the after the Iberian expulsion, and that was Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz. Okay. Yes.
But you Jewish, there's also a group of Kabbalists that went to Morocco that we don't learn very much about, but I come across them every so often. They mention Kabbalists in Morocco, and there was a strong Kabbalistic community.
I dare say. I mean, I think they probably all again must have been connected with the same, with each other. I mean, it's North Africa, I think, was another destination probably that they went to. Well, you know me, I'm not a great Kabbalist, so I'm unlikely to be coming across them anytime soon. But of course, Rabbi Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz, who lived around about 1500 to 1580, was not born in Sfat, nor was he born in Spain, actually. He was born in Salonika. Which was a great Jewish center after the expulsion from Spain. So presumably his parents or grandparents will have left Spain, Portugal, and gone to Salonika. And he moved to Sfat to join the whole circle of Rabbi Yosef Karo, who was his brother-in-law, as it so happens, and the Ari, and Reb Moshe Cordovera. He was a Levi, and he wrote Lecha Dodi as an expression of joy, of welcoming the Shabbat. Welcoming the Shabbat, but not just welcoming the Shabbat itself, but welcoming the Shekhinah. Okay, a lot of the if we're going to go into each verse very carefully, but a lot of the language is feminine. Okay, and there are two ways of interpreting the femininity. One is Shabbat, which is feminine. The other is the Jewish people, which is feminine, with the man of the couple being HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the bride as it Jewish people. But another part of this femininity is the Shekhinah. And remember, these were very Shekhinah-dick, right? So the femininity of Lecha Dodi is in some way related to Shekhinah as well as the Shabbat. So let's just have a look. I want to show a little video I took almost 3 years ago, and I'm going to try and share it. I'm going to try and share it with the Zoomers, and those that are in the room. You may need to gather around the thingy. Yeah, I did. I sent this on the phone to the Tefilah group. Right. Let me just see now. Let me just see now if I can share this with you guys on the screen. Share sound. We need to tick that. This is the one we want.
Has a missed phone call from Faye.
Yeah, I saw that. Faye's online here. We're okay.
Is she still on?
Okay, right. Let's see if you can hear this and see this.
So we're standing here in the Chatzar, the courtyard of the Shul of the Ari, the Sephardi Shul of the Ari in Sfat. I'm speaking quietly because there's a bar mitzvah going on at the moment. But here we are in this.
I'm speaking quietly because there's a mitzvah going on in there. That's what I said the first bit. So I'll just go back a few seconds. So very, very quiet and see if you can hear it.
Going on at the moment, but here we are in this courtyard here. Something very special used to happen every week, and it's something that we do in our shul. You'll be familiar with the fact that after mincha on Shabbat afternoon, the Rav stands up and he says, "Ba'u netzei likrat Shabbat HaMalkah," and then we sing Yedid Nefesh. So Ba'u netzei likrat Shabbat HaMalkah. Come, let's go out and meet the Shabbat Queen. That's what we say, and then we sing Yedid Nefesh, and then we sing Lecha Dodi later on. From here, they came out from the Sephardi, from the Shul of the Ari, and Reb Shlomo Alkabetz, the author of Lecha Dodi, would go over here, and this is where the sun would be setting over those mountains that you can see ahead of you, because this is looking west. The sun would be setting. And this view that you've got there when the sun was setting over there from this courtyard of the Ari's Shul, this is where Reb Shlomo Alkabetz stood in the Shabbat Lecha Dodi. So this is a very special place. It's a very special hills over which the sun set and inspired Lecha Dodi. Think about that tomorrow evening when you say, when Rav Yuval says, "Ba'u netzei likrat Shabbat HaMalkah," imagine that you are Rav Shlomo Alkabetz, stood in the courtyard of the synagogue of the Shul of the Ari, being inspired. He wrote Lecha Dodi. When you sing Lecha Dodi tomorrow night, then be inspired. Shabbat Shalom.
Very nice.
So that was, let's go back to the Zoom, a little video I did back, where have you all gone? See you all again. That was a video that I did back in a couple of years ago. I went on a trip to the north, well, all around with my grandson who was coming up to his bar mitzvah.
Oh,
You could just get a little glimpse of him actually down at the ahead of me. And we went to this to the Ari's shul. There was a little bar mitzvah going on, which is why I was speaking quietly. But it was really, really special to stand there and imagine that here we had Reb Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz stood in that place and was inspired to write Lecha Dodi. I found it, even I found it an incredibly moving and Kabbalistic experience. Okay, so what they used to do was they would go out of there and they would go to the fields. The Kabbalists would go to the fields before the sunset on Friday evening and go in their white garments, and they would sing Tehillim, which is what we do, right? We've gone straight to Lecha Dodi, but you know, if we go back to Lechuna Ranana, Tehillim Tzadik Hey, followed by Tzadik Vav, followed by Tzadik Zayin, followed by Tzadik Ches, followed by Tzadik Tet. Okay, we've got a bunch of Tehillim. They would go out into the fields, dressed all in white, and they would turn to the west. Imagine where Sfat is, okay? They turn to the west, where the sun was setting, okay? They would turn to the west, and they would greet, as the sun sets, what happens? One day, turns into the next. Vayhi erev, vayhi voker. Okay, we've got that ben hashmashot time, that twilight time, where halachically we don't actually know what day it is. Right? It's not definitely Shabbat until nightfall, but it's not definitely Friday after sunset. That area of twilight. There's even an English expression, isn't it? The twilight zone. What does that mean? It means you're not really sure. If you live in the twilight zone, you're not really sure where you are.
You're not there.
Correct. Nicht dahin, nicht daher. Okay, so that halachically, actually, that is a real twilight zone. But imagine there, as that day, as Friday turns into Shabbat, they are there, as it were, greeting the Shabbat day, turn to see the sun set. Now we'll come back to that in a moment. And they not just as divine bride, Shabbat Hamalka, Bo Netzei Shabbat Hamalka. Come, let's go out and greet the Shabbat queen. Okay, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat, the face of Shabbat. But Shabbat is the Malka. Okay, so they saw it not just as a day of rest, but it was a divine bride, as it were, coming to be united with her husband. Who's her husband?
Jewish people.
With us.
No,
Jewish
no,
people.
I mean-
Yeah, us, the Jewish people. In this analogy, the bride is Shabbat, coming to be united with the Jewish people. We are the Chatan, coming to greet the bride. Now, there is a beautiful Sephardi custom that a lot of Ashkenazim have either adopted or semi-adopted at a wedding. The purist Ashkenazim amongst us, and I suspect that probably all of us, when we got married, did it this way. When we went as Chatanim to bedek our kala and to put the veil on, we went to where she was sitting, pulled over the veil, had the bracha from whoever, then went back to the chuppah with either our mother and father or with the two fathers, depending on what your minhag. And there you waited until the kala came, her parents or the two mothers, and joined them at the chuppah. Right? That's what I did. I suspect it's what most of us here and in the Zoom room also did. Sephardim don't do that. The Sephardim have the Chatan, he goes to the chuppah with his parents, okay? And they don't go to where the Kala is and do the bedeking. The Kala comes unveiled. And at some point in the walkway, she will stop. The Chatan will leave the chuppah, walk towards the Kala, and veil her. Okay. Okay. Right. You were they Sephardim?
One was maybe the time was Ashkenaz and the color was Ethiopian.
Right. Okay. So who knows? Right. Okay. So that's the Sephardi way of doing it. Being adopted quite a lot here amongst Ashkenazim, and this is actually what sorry, everybody, we lost you there. We lost internet. What I was saying is that there has been an adoption of this custom by the Ashkenazim, sort of in a semi sort of way, in that the Ashkenazim go and bedeck their kala in the usual way. The kala comes halfway to the chuppah, veil on, and the chatan leaves the chuppah and goes to meet her and brings her back. It's what my kids did. In fact, there's a wedding where my son-in-law, who of you know my son-in-law is a bit of a chevra man. Wife accompanying our daughter, we get to the point where we stop. He comes from the chuppah and he goes, right, you can go, off you go, right? And he gives us a thumb and we have to go, and we wheel round and he takes his kala back to the chuppah. And it's a beautiful minute. And that is what they were doing. That's what these Kabbalists were doing on a Friday night. They were going, as it were, to greet their kala in the same way as we just described that today, last night, the two chuppot that you were at, they had this idea of the chatan going to greet the kala. So we are the chatan. In this analogy, Shabbat is the malka, Shabbat is the queen, Shabbat is the bride, and we are the chatan. We are going to meet them. We're going to greet them. Yes, Frank?
I was just thinking, also, what's certainly become common recently is that when they're coming in the procession to the chuppah, they're actually carrying candles.
Oh, we've always done that.
Okay, so Frank says.
The Shabbat.
Okay, Frank says. Okay, that's a good question. Frank says that recently it's become a custom to carry candles. It's only recently become a custom in, if you like, United Synagogue style. It's always been the way in sort of, the Haredi circles, Hasidic circles always carried candles. The United Synagogue type has adopted that fairly recently. Is it connected to the Shabbat candles? In a way it is, because what are the Shabbat candles all about? Yeah, but what is the purpose of Shabbat candles? No, not decoration. Shlom bayit, correct. Shlom bayit. Why? Because if it's dark and you fall over you trip over your wife's foot or the other way around, then you're all going to have a big row. Why have you got such big feet, right? So to have a house full of light, it's all about shalom bayit, which is why the Shabbat candles are so important. Now, if Shabbat candles are about shalom bayit, then it makes candles. You also light candles at the Brit. Candle light or any Sudat mitzvah, yeah. Key and shiver as well. That is true. Light represents Torah as well. So we always try and have light. But yeah, I do think that there is a connection there.
Walking down with the candle.
No,
It's become more.
Minhag Anglia never had that. It's been adopted. Like many sort of customs that have come from the Haredi world, if you like, they've been adopted by the I don't know how to describe it. I can only describe it as the Minhag Anglia United Synagogue style.
Never seen it, Johnny.
The reason, the real question is not why they've adopted it. The real question is why they didn't institute it in the first place, because it was always there, and there were certain customs that never sort of, I suppose, caught on.
Didn't walk around me 7 times.
No, my wife didn't walk around me 7 times. That also is not a was not a standard. That was not a standard custom.
The rabbi said no, you can't.
Oh, really?
Who said no?
And then another.
I mean, I wouldn't. It was not the custom of the United Synagogue back in the day. I don't remember if my wife did or not, because she was a Harediya anyway by the time she got married. So she may have done, I don't remember. But certainly, my sister certainly never did at her wedding.
We did.
You did? So it's interesting, isn't it? That these they're only minhagim. There's no, it doesn't, it doesn't. Let's get it straight. It doesn't invalidate the wedding if you don't do it, right?
It's a really
These things.
Of course there are. But what I'm saying is, just because that's not a minhag doesn't mean it's invalid. What's interesting historically. What's interesting historically, and it doesn't matter that we're digressing because we're never going to finish. We might not even start Lecha Dodi, never mind finishing.
Becoming fashionable, John. isn't it?
But what's interesting here when talking about these different minhagim, particularly for us who are from this, yeah, but minhag and minhag, we're based on Frankfurt. It would be interesting to know, and I don't know enough about it. I have to speak to some yekkers, real yekkers who are from Frankfurt.
Go ahead. I have friends from Frankfurt.
You have friends, right? I want to know from the Frankfurt minhag whether they went round 7 times, and I want to know whether they
Hasidic minhag.
Okay, there you go. That's why it's not done that's why it wasn't done in Frankfurt, and that's why it wouldn't be done in England, because England is based on Frankfurt. Frankfurt is the opposite end of Hasidic. I think that's the answer.
Okay.
1 second.
Times. It's what's in Hasidic language called you build a vessel. You create a vessel by going, why you want 7 times is also another question.
7 Sfirot, probably.
Yeah.
7.
And it's the same. Sfaradim also, and I don't know about Hasidim, but Sfaradim also don't see each other for 7 days.
Neither
beforehand.
that Ashkenazim don't either.
Yeah.
Ashkenazim don't.
They're all things to build a vessel, an atmosphere around the getting married and the home, and then later in life, every month, you relive that experience.
Okay, by the way, in very modern Israeli circles, they don't do this circling business because it's seen as demeaning for the woman by some, by the feminist folk. It's seen as demeaning that she should be walking around the woman. Why isn't he walking around? Let's not go there. And all we need to say is that there are different minhagim, and as far as a wedding is concerned, how we've got onto this, I don't know. But
different authorities allow different.
All you need for a wedding are 2 kosher edim, a ketubah, and a ring. Okay, and a masada kedushin. The rest is minhag. Okay, so however you want to do it, you want to do it. But there are beautiful minhagim, including, as we're saying, let's get back to Lecha Dodi.
You don't have 2 kosher edim. Is the marriage valid?
That's one of the ways they get round.
Potentially not. Potentially not. Yeah, potentially not.
Literally?
Yes, literally, potentially not.
In the case of Agunot, they sometimes use that.
Yeah, let's not get into that right now because we'll
No.
Okay, so what have we said? We've said that Lecha Dodi was written in that beautiful place where I showed you in Tzfat, overlooking the mountains, by Rev Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz, in around about 1540. He would have been about 40 at that time, according to this working out. The Kabbalists of Tzfat, who originated in Spain and Portugal and that area, would have gone out to the fields in their white clothing to sing Tehillim and to greet the Shabbat queen, the Shabbat bride, as we sort of reenact in a way at a wedding today with the Chatan and the Kala.
It's not so easy to do. It's all up.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, maybe it was a bit flatter in those days. I don't know. You're right. Dodi, in the time we've got remaining, let's start. Lecha Dodi. Now, we got the first problem we've got is the very first word. Could you please translate, without looking in the translation, could you please translate the word lecha?
To you.
Imperative, meaning go. Right? What does your translation say? Come. What does your translation say?
Come.
Yeah. And so does mine. So there's our first problem. Right? I don't like to skip over any problem. If I can find one, I'll find one. Lecha Dodi. Go, Dodi, my beloved. Likrat Kala. Likrat,
to meet the bride.
to meet or greet Kala, the bride. Pnei Shabbat, the face of Shabbat. Okay. Nekabel, we will receive, or we will welcome. Okay, we will receive. Lekabel is to receive. Okay, so what should it really say? Boy. Either bo or boy. If you're talking to a, why does it say lecha? Well, I must be talking to the males because we're going to greet the bride. We don't believe in women getting married to women. Why is it lech? Why is it not lech? That's another question. Why is it not bo? Really, it should be bo dodi. Yeah, likrat kala. I don't know the answer because yeah, poetic. Like maybe it doesn't scan. I don't know, but it's an interesting thought. Very good, Frank. The acrostic. I thought that as well. I literally thought that a minute ago about the acrostic, but the acrostic begins with a shin. And the Lecha Dodi is not part of the acrostic. I did think of
Johnny, could it be a printing error?
I had a quick look because I thought that was going to be the answer, but it isn't.
Couldn't it be an error like we had in last week? In the Gemara, we had the wrong tense in the Gemara last week.
We did. We had a wrong tense altogether.
Maybe
which was
it's the same thing. We got lost.
Could be. You think Reb Shlomo Alkabetz wrote Boi Dodi or Bo Dodi? I don't know. Lecha Dodi is what it is. If anybody can come up before next week or for next week with an answer, you're not allowed to ask ChatGPT, or if you do, you have to check every single source that it gives you, because otherwise we'll be sent in some crazy way. Right, Lecha Dodi, come, my beloved, to greet the bride. Together we will welcome Shabbat. So what is it? It's a call to prayer, right? It's a call to prayer. Now, lahavdil, remember that we were talking about, Hannah's already told us that there are all these Kabbalists in Morocco. And what there was the locals in Svat would have been in the 1500s would have been what largely? Muslims. And what are Muslims? Yes, the Muezzin, they call to prayer. This is lahavdil, Rav Shlomo Alkabetz's call to prayer. Okay. Lecha Dodi likrat kala. Come, my beloved. He's talking to his mates in the shul or in the fields. Let's greet the Shabbat. Okay, now there are various different means.
And Labavet, I stood, everybody's I can't.
So there are for the first Lecha Dodi, and then pretty much everybody stands for the last verse. When we get to that, we'll talk about it. So so we stand. A lot of people stand for that, and some people even turn like we do for the last verse. There is a minhag. I've not seen it, but I've seen it written that there is a minhag that you stand and to say.
Makes sense.
It does make sense, but I've never personally never seen it.
In my son's shul in Mitzvah Yericho, they don't turn at all, even at the end.
Because?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll talk about turning at the end when we get to the end. Okay, no, I've got 2 pages on that question, Frank. But I suspect it'll probably be a flippant question, just for the Zoom. Frank, Paul said, the door is not in the back of the shul here either, by the way. But we'll come to turning at the end when we get to the end. We're only at the
There are about 4 people in our shul, Joey.
We've stood up,
4 of us in our shul.
Whatever it is.
There are about 4 of us in our shul who stand up for Lecha Dodi. The same people every week. Myself, Dave Goldman. There are about 4 people who stand up in our shul for Lecha Dodi.
There are about 4 of us
who stand for Lecha Dodi the whole right through.
Who stand for Lecha Okay, there are about 4.
I'm one, and David Altman is another one.
That probably allows you to stand if there's a few, but you can't do it if you're the only one.
I suspect it's
unless you're the
Sephardi because I've got a couple of Sephardi people in
because
my school.
there's a halacha that's ifrosh minat tzibur. Do not separate yourself from the community. So even if you're right, if everybody else is doing it differently, then you have to fall in, unless it's a halacha. Of course, if it's a minhag, it's what everybody else is doing, which is why I get so irritated and do the long Yehei Shlama Rabbah, because being tifrosh minat tzibur, but don't get me started on that. Right. Shamor v'zachor. Shamor v'zachor. What does that mean? Shamor. Keep. Bor echad. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, Lionel. It's talking about the Aseret HaDibrot, says Lionel. 2 different versions. Okay. There is a version in Parshat Yitro, Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadosho. There is a different version in Va'et Chanan, Shamor et HaShabbat. Okay? Shamor v'Zachor. Question. Let me just see this. Why is it not Zachor v'Shamor? Answer? Come on.
That's the other.
The acrostic, it won't work. Okay, it's an acrostic. The name of the author is in the acrostic. Hey again, Lamed Vav Yud. Shlomo Halevi. Okay, so if you had Zachor v'Shlomo, Shamor, it would be Zlomo, Zalman, it would, which of course is Shlomo. But the reason it is Shamor v'Zachor and not Zachor v'Shamor is because the acrostic wouldn't work. So Shamor v'Zachor, there were 2 versions of the 4th commandment. Fourth commandment. Shamor or Zachor et Yom HaShabbat. Keep the Shabbos day. Okay, or remember the Shabbos day. And so there is a midrash that tells us that the people at Har Sinai heard the word Shamor and the word Zachor simultaneously as a single utterance. Now, without having a recording to superimpose on, or 8-track, or however they do it in things, no human being can say 2 words simultaneously. If anybody would like to try and say Shamor, then I will pay homage to the Mashiach, because it can't be done, right? It can't be done. Only Kodesh Baruch could do that. Shamor v'Zachor b'dibur echad. It's a play on words. What are the 10 commandments in Hebrew?
Dibrot.
Aseret HaDibrot. What is one? So Shamor v'Zachor is one commandment, right? So in other words, the 2 aspects of Shabbat, what Rav Shlomo Alkabetz is hinting at here, are the 2 aspects are indivisible from one another. What are the 2 aspects? Zachor
and remember
is what? Positive commandments. That means what? Remember Shabbos. Now, how do you fulfill Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadosho? Kiddush. I just gave you the answer because I said lekadosho. When you make Kiddush on Friday night, or at Yom HaShabbat lekadosho, when else are you mekayim that mitzvah? Shmona Esra, very good. When Shmona Esra, when you say V'shamru, V'shamru, that is part of being Mekayim, of fulfilling the Zachor bit of Shabbat, right? When you have Oneg Shabbat, when you have a nice meal, when you have a nice shlof, when you go to a good shiur, that is all part of Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadosho.
Surely, Johnny, though, lighting the candles first will be the one.
It's true. Say that again, Jackie, please.
Surely lighting the candles will be the first mitzvah to observe the Shabbos, to remember it.
Okay, lighting the candles, is that part of Zachor? Yes, I guess it is. It is part of the mitzvah of Zachor, yes. I don't think it's probably the Dioraita. It's not the Dioraita part of Zachor, because the Dioraita, meaning the Torah law, is fulfilled with Kiddush, not with the lighting of the candles. But it's definitely part of the aspect. I agree with you. It's definitely part of Zachor. Shamor, on the other hand, meaning guarding, is the negative aspects of Shabbat. Now, I don't mean there is a negative aspect of Shabbat. I mean the don't do's on Shabbat. So all the 39 melachot that we don't do, the whole time we don't do those, we are fulfilling the mitzvah of Shamor et Yom HaShabbat, of guarding the day of Shabbat. Now, there are those people who are very keen on the Zachor bit, and they like to light candles, and they make Kiddush, and they have a nice meal, and they may even go to shul in the morning and say their Shemona Esrei and say V'Shamru, and then they go to football in the afternoon, right? We've all know people who do that. They're good at the Zachor, not quite so good at the Shamor. And there are other people who are very good at the Shamor, who are absolutely punctilious about not doing any of the 39 melachot, but they're not so great on the Oneg Shabbat. Right? It's all a bit miserable for them. What we're learning here is that Shamor v'Zachor b'dibur echad. It's all one commandment. They're both important, and it's not right. I don't say you can't have one without the other, because you do, but it's not right to have one without the other. Shamor v'Zachor b'dibur echad. And before you come in, Hannah, let's just finish the theme of this first verse, which is Hishmianu. Hishmianu. What does that mean? Tell me the binyan here, Lionel. Tefilah, yes. It's a causative. And what's the root of the word? Shema. So what does Hishmia mean? To make us hear, right? Make us hear. Now, how do I make you hear something?
You didn't say anything to me today, did you?
How do I make you hear something?
You didn't say anything to me.
What did you say, Jackie? Is he talking to us? I'm not sure he is. We'll mute him. We'll mute him. He can unmute himself if he wants. Hishmia, how do I make you hear me? I announce something, right? If I announce it, I'm causing you to hear it. My translation, which is the purple, Purple Singers, right, by Lord Jakubowicz, says, the one and only God announced to us, Hishmianu, announced to us. The new at the end is us. What have you got in the Sachs translation?
The one and only God made us hear.
Made us hear. That's a more literal translation. Yeah. Anyone got any other translation? What have you got there?
Is one made his will heard.
Made his will heard. Okay, I don't know where they've made that up from. But where's will? Where's will in the Hebrew?
Not there.
Not there. Okay. What translation is that, by the way? Hurts. Oh, good old Hurts. Okay. Anyway, Hishmianu. Kadosh Baruch Hu. How do I know it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu? Kael HaMeyuchad. We were talking about Meyuchad before, Hannah. Right? We were talking about Yeladim Meyuchadim. We were talking about special children. Right. Here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is described as Meyuchad. Why? If something is special, whether it be a child or a day or a cake or whatever it is, what does being special mean?
You're on your own.
Yeah, it means that it's unique. It's something special, right? It's something special. So Keilah Meyuchad is the one and only God, as opposed to other Elim, other gods, with other deities or gods with a small g. So the one and only, the Miyuchad, the special one and only God, announced to us. I rather like the announced here. announced to us. Announced to us what? He announced to us that it's Shabbat. Shabbat's coming, right? Hashem Echad, Ushmo Echad. Again, we're stressing the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the twin commandments, let me just see where I'm up to on my little notes here. So I'll come back to that next thing. L'shem, what's shame?
Name.
L'shem.
Name. God. Name.
Hilah, which is the singular of Tehillim. Praise. Yeah. This whole business is all about praising God. We get that straight out. This is about recognizing Shabbat. Shabbat itself is the recognition of the unity of God. Why is that the recognition of the unity of God? V'shamu b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, lasot et Shabbat, l'dorotam, berit olam, an everlasting covenant, beini Uvei b'nei Yisrael, between me, Hashem, and b'nei Yisrael, ot hili olam, it's an everlasting sign. Why? Ki sheshet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim v'et haaretz, because in 6 days Hashem made the earth and the heavens. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash. He rested, or he stopped, vayinafash, and he was refreshed, or it was refreshed. So the whole concept of keeping Shabbat, the Zachor and the Shamor, is ultimately a demonstration of our faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? I mean, is that why I keep Shabbat? I suppose so, partly. I like to keep Shabbat because I don't want to work for 7 days, right? There are many people who have a day off. Some people do it on a Sunday. Some people do it on a Friday. We do it on a Shabbat. And it has all sorts of fringe benefits. We all know that. And what's really interesting is that in the so-called modern world, they're just waking up to the idea of a 24-hour period free of screens and free of technology. You know, we've been doing this for a very long time, and they're just waking up to it. It's quite amusing, really.
My sons used to talk about it a lot.
About
how to have the day off.
The day off, yeah. So, but ultimately, that day off is a demonstration of our faith in Hashem, because it is Ot Hili Olam. There are two things that are called Ot: Shabbat and Brit. Shabbat and Brit Milah. Now, in the paragraph that we have just said, it describe it as, run it through your mind again. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, lasot et Shabbat v'dortam. Brit Olam. It's a covenant. Shabbat as much as Brit Milah is the sign of a covenant. The sign of Brit, you see somebody, okay, forget the Muslims. I know there's only 1.5 billion of them, but you see somebody, he's got a Brit Milah, he's a Jew, right? Okay, I know it's not true that there are many people. King Charles, yeah, not Prince William. No, Diana wouldn't allow it. That's another story. So, but the sign of the Brit is the Brit, sign of Brit Milah is that sign of a covenant between God and the Jewish people. So is Shabbat. Shabbat is described exactly the same. Ot and Brit. So Shabbat is all about us recognizing the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And of course, right in this first verse, we say, what is our, but perhaps it should be, what is our mission statement? If I said, Shema Yisrael Adonai, Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Here we are, straight away. Eila miyuchad, Adonai Echad, Ushmo Echad. Right? Bayom hahu, pasuk in Zechariah, you say it a few times a day. Bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai Echad, Ushmo Echad. There will come a day when everybody will recognize that. But right now, Shabbat is
to bring God into this world.
Yes. And how do we do that? By recognizing that he is one.
By setting a good example.
By recognizing that he is one. It's all connected. Right. Okay. So
I had a question.
one sec. I just want to see where I'm up to on here. Now, before you come to your question,
What are they paying you for, Roy?
quite sure how this works, actually, but I think it's to do with the Shamor of the Zachor bit.
Good.
In some ways, Shamor and Zachor are opposites. Shamor is the negative commandments of Shabbat. Zachor is the positive commandments of Shabbat. There's some element of opposition going on there. And what this commentator wants to say is, I'm not 100% with it, but I'm going to see what you think about it. He says that Shabbat unites opposites, male and female, din and chesed, shamayim va'aretz. Shabbat is where everything comes, beautiful Shabbat, and it's harmonious in the family. Then perhaps that's what he's saying. I can't really get that, but maybe that's my lack of, Kabbalistic stuff. Yes, Hannah.
I get it. I think that maybe he's taking minhagim. It is, the word is to have relations on Friday night.
Yeah, there is an inyan.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, water is chesed and wine is din. And most people I know always put a little bit of water into the wine for kiddush, and you combine that chesed with the chesed.
Okay, there you go.
Definitely not. Definitely.
I've never heard that.
No, there is definitely. I had to wash out the cup beforehand and to leave a little bit of water in that. I've seen that. I've done definitely. I don't know the origin of it, and I don't know the reason for it. But
actually put drops of water in, as well. There's also the salt is din, and the challah, the bread, is chesed, and so you dip the bread into the challah, into the salt.
Of course, we dip our bread into the salt because melach was on the mizbeach, and so it's a mizbeach. But I'm sure that's a Kabbalistic.
Two together.
Okay.
What was the other thing?
You've done them all now. Male and female, justice and mercy, and heaven and earth.
Heaven and earth is that the belief is that on Shabbat, spiritually, the world rises and comes closer to Olam Haba, and it comes to meet. That's why people buried on a Friday said not to have chibuta kevel, because their soul goes up with the earth when it goes up spiritually, and then when the earth comes down at the end of Shabbat, their soul stays there.
Okay, so it's well recognized that Shabbat is called Me'ein Olam Haba. Me'ein means part of, like a small part of. Where do we see that word Me'ein, by the way?
Bikur Cholim is
Ein habrachot.
So I'm thinking about, again,
Ein habrachot, we say,
I'm
don't
thinking
we?
of Me'ein Shalosh. Birchat Me'ein Shalosh. What is Birchat Me'ein Shalosh? What would we call Ein Shalosh? Because it is a little bit of all of the three brachot of Birchat Hamazon. How many brachot of Birchat Hamazon are there? 4. I'm not going to ask you, Lan. I know you know that with the first one. No. But Birchat Me'ein Shalosh. Why is it called Me'ein Shalosh and not Me'ein Arba? The fourth one was
three
the
different
yeah,
species
okay, we've
of
done
food.
it. Well, I'm just checking that you were awake. Yes, Frank.
It's for
1
three
second,
different
Faye. 1
species
second.
of
In a minute,
food.
Faye.
Bringing the opposite.
What, Faye? Wait a sec.
When you look at the word, the way it's got the phrase "Keracham Yuchad," and you've got the word "Yachad" there, which is actually the God of bringing us together.
Well, that's nice. Hammer Yached, who bring us together. That's nice. That's nice. Well, I think it's probably Hammer Ached, but yeah, I like it. Yachad is in there as well. Very nice. Yes, Faye.
It's for 3 different species of food. It's used for, for wine, for mizonot, and for certain perot.
No, that's not what it means, because it would be the 7 Shivat Aminim. It's Me'ein Shalosh. It's a little bit of the 3 brachot of Birchat Hamazon. That's what Me'ein means.
But
Okay,
if you look at
now,
the three,
Hannah's given us
the three things
a,
at the ends of it that you're saying brachas on are on those 3 categories.
yeah, but a whole
Not the-
bunch of them.
not
We've
the
got
Sheva
more.
species.
Like the Ala Peirot is about all the other Shivat Aminim. It's not just
Right,
one.
and
not
then the
just
other is
grape.
on wine and the other is on mizonot. So it's the 3
You've got
categories.
grapes. You've got mizonot, which is on chita and seorah. So they're not. There's not just 3. Take it from me, Faye. When it's called Me'ein Shalosh, it's talking about the 3 brachot from Birchat Hamazon. Okay, we're almost up, and we've done 1 stanza, which was very good. So to summarize that first stanza, we would say that this verse celebrates the unity of the Jewish people with Shabbat, the unity of the Jewish people and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and through Shabbat, the unity themselves of the Jewish people together. And so the essence of Shabbat, right from the beginning of Rav Shlomo Alkabetz's poem, beautiful song, is the unity of Hashem. So we will leave it there. And next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, if I'm here, don't know, we'll start Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Neilcha. And we've got another Lechu there. We'll have to see what happens there. So we've all got homework. Why is it not Bo Dodi? What other homework have we got? Why is it not Bo Dodi? There was something else we had to look at as well, wasn't it? Why is it feminine and not Lech? Yes, that's a good question as well. Right, that'll do for the time being. Right.
Because
he's talking to men. Or it should be Lechu if he's talking to, and then it wouldn't be Dodi, would it? It would be Dodai. Lechu Dodai. Doesn't sound right, does it? Right. Any questions on Zoom before I stop the recording? He's asked her a question.
When
No?
did,
Okay.
when
Any
did the
questions in the
tunes
room?
come in, Johnny?
When did the tunes come in? Very good question. We'll talk about the music because I looked up tonight. I'm not going to talk about the music next week, or probably not the week after that, or maybe not even the week after that. But eventually we will get to the music. But I will tell you now, not only have I got 2 pages on standing up, facing the door, not facing the door, I've got a page and a half on why we changed the tune at Lo Tevoshi. That must have crossed your minds.
Yes.
Right? Why do we change the tune? Not as it so happens most of the time here we don't, but why do lots of people change the tune at Lo Tevoshi? Don't tell me now. Answers on a postcard. That's what they used to say, wasn't it? Answers on a postcard. We will discuss it eventually. Be'ezrat Hashem. Okay. Laila Tov, everyone.
Laila Tov.